it's Jacq. So this week we're gonna make this 60s inspired daisy bag with these cute little heart clips. So the only macrame daisy that I learned to make is this one here, where you have like a center circle and then you have the petals coming off, which are essentially like chains of square knots. And so because of that, it's like hollow. It's not like it's not like secure all the way through. It's like hollow and flimsy. So because I want it to be a bag, I didn't think those daisies would work. So I realized that a daisy is two ways. A daisy is like a circle with petals like this coming off of it, or a daisy is just a bunch of circles. So the idea for this daisy bag is to make a bunch of circles that I then interconnect so that the whole thing is not hollow. It didn't come out like exactly how I envisioned. There are some gaps, but they're so small that it's still better than the other daisy design would have been. So anyway, this is like what my thinking was when I was like designing this bag. To start off, the materials we'll need are macrame cord and scissors and craft glue. You start off by cutting 5 pieces of cord that are like about, I don't know, I'm gonna say 22 inches. I'm really bad at measurements and I'm really bad at estimating. But if you take the end of cord and measure about how big you want like the end bag to be and double that and cut that, that should be the length of cord. You cut 5 of those pieces and then you cut one that's triple that length, triple the 22-inch length. And that's gonna be your lead string. So you start off by looping one end of that lead string back on itself so that it makes like a little loop. And then the part where the cord is doubled and folds onto itself is doubled, you attach on those 5 pieces of cord like I am here. You tighten the ends of the lead string so that it makes this little circly guy, and then you are going to make that, expand that circle to make that circle bigger, as big as you want the petals of your daisy to be, by double half hitch knotting with the ends of the cord around in like a spiral with that lead string. So it's like a little bit hard to explain, but you can see what I'm doing here. And if you don't know how to double half hitch knot, I have separate shorts that are a lot slower and like more focused on just specific knots and specific patterns that make up each like project, each macrame project. So I'll attach also in the description all the links for the knot shorts. So if I'm going too fast or like you can't see super well what I'm doing, check check out the description and there's probably a short for that. So you'll double half hitch knot, and you'll see when you make the first row of double half hitch knots around that when you come back to where you started, there's like a gap. So to fill in that gap, you take another end of macrame cord and you measure the end of cord that is next to the gap and double it, cut it, and then you add that onto the lead string to fill in the gap, and then keep going. And every time you see that there's a gap in your spiral, that's what you're gonna do. So to make it like a little bit easier to follow, here I put the pieces of cord that I'm adding in yellow. And also, just because I thought it was cute, I wanted it to kind of in the end look like a color gradient of one color in the center to a different color on the outside. So this first row that I'm adding on, I'm just adding cord into the gap. And then the next row that I go around, I'm going to take out a couple of the green string chords and add in extra yellow so that I'm gradually going to end up with only yellow around the outside, if that makes sense. I'm really bad at describing things, so I hope you can understand what I'm saying. But maybe it's a little bit easier to follow. You can see what I'm doing here. And so here you can see I'm on the last row, so it's like about to be all yellow. And then that is the center of my daisy. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing, except instead of with green, I'm gonna do pink for the petals. So to start the other petal, you're gonna do the same thing. So you cut 5 pieces of cord that are about like 22 inches. And you cut another piece of cord that's about triple that length, and double half hitch knot around the center so that it's like a spiral. And add on yellow whenever you see that gap when you come back to where you started, and then adding on more yellow whenever there's a gap, and adding on even more yellow until it's a gradient from pink in the center to yellow all the way on the outside. So once you've made 6 petals, you attach them onto the center. So I pulled out the lead string, and I'm gonna take a piece of the yellow cord coming off of one of the petals, and I chose one that was like long enough, because when you get to like the end of the petal, the cord starts getting pretty short. So I picked one that's long enough to double half hitch knot easy around that lead, and then I just double half hitch knotted it around that lead. And I kept continuing with that circle around the center. So I use, as if I'm like expanding the center circle, I kept going with the lead string, pulled out yellow from the center circle instead of a petal, and double half hitch knotted, and in a pattern of like adding a petal with a double half hitch knot, and then 2 strands from the center, double half hitch knotting, adding a petal, 2 from the center, double half hitch knotting, adding a petal, all the way around. You can kind of see what I'm saying a lot easier in the video, but so that's what I'm doing here. I double half hitch knotted just to continue the circle. And then I add a petal the same way I added the first one, by double half hitch knotting with one of the stray ends of yellow coming off of the petal. And then I continue the circle from the center again by taking more ends of cord and double half hitch knotting before I add another petal, so on and so forth until it's all the way around. Also, such that each petal is like touching the next one, because you're going to want to connect them also to each other to make the bag like as strong as possible, all held together. Okay, and so then to just kind of like reinforce the shape of the daisy even more, I take an end of yellow cord, and to measure it, I just kind of trace the outside of the daisy that I've got going on, because it's going to be a lead string. And then I cut it, and then I just use that as a lead string to double half hitch knot all the ends of just the edge of the daisy onto it, so that it's like holding that shape of the daisy. It's like reinforcing it even more. So again, you can like see it a lot better than understand what I'm saying, I'm pretty sure. So here you can see that I'm just like using the ends of the cord coming off of those petals, but just the ones that are on the edge coming off, not any of the ones from the center of the daisy. And double half hitch knotting around that extra lead cord we cut, so that it makes this like daisy shape. And when you're done with that, you're gonna want to make another daisy, because this is like one face of the bag. You need two faces to connect them to make the bag. And so crafting as a kid, a craft project takes like, I don't know, 30 minutes, because they're designed for like a kid's attention span. But adult crafts, or like more advanced, mature crafting, it takes some stamina. So just keep that in mind. One thing that I think discouraged me from finishing a lot of projects that I started was feeling like I had to like finish it all at once, or like within a certain time frame, or I give up. And because I'm not like pacing myself, and I'm not resting when I need to, then I burn out, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where I have to quit because I literally can't keep going anymore. I'm like so tired and like frustrated with it, you know? So crafting takes some stamina. So that's also a reason why I don't put like in the description or anything how long this craft is going to take, because I mean, it's going to take as long as it takes. It could take you a day. It could take you a year, you know? Just stop when you're tired and get back to it when you feel like it. Like, don't put pressure on yourself, because, yeah, crafting should be fun and confidence building, not like making you feel like frustrated and like you're forcing something, and I don't know. I don't know what if you make sense of that rant, but basically just be patient with yourself and take a break when you want to and get back to it when you feel like it. And if you don't, then don't, and cut it up and use it as pillow stuffing, whatever. One thing that I learned is that even like a failed, quote unquote, failed project that you give up on, you learn a lot of skills along the way, and those skills can be applied to the next project. So it's never really like you're failing, even if you give up, because you can apply those things that you learned to the next thing. Maybe you don't have like a finished product at the end of it, but we don't need to have finished products for something to be of value. So yeah, give up when you feel like it too, and embrace the concept of impermanence. Okay, there's another rant. Anyway, here I am finishing up this daisy. And then when you're finished, you're gonna flip it over and cut all those ends. This is like such a satisfying part of the process, because you start off with this like big yarny mess, and then it ends up looking so clean and nice. So yeah, you're gonna cut off all these ends, but not all of them. You don't want to cut off the ones that are on the edge of the daisy, on the very, very, very edge, because we still want to use those cords to attach the two together to make it a bag, and to attach the like fastener to make it a bag. So just the ones that are like in the center, you can see which ones I'm cutting here and which ones I'm leaving out. So just like the yellow ones from the very edge of the petals are the ones that I'm leaving out. But look how clean that looks now. It's so much nicer. And then I, as a second step, glue those ends down, but you technically don't need to, because the way macrame works is it's like knots that use tension to hold themselves together, to hold each other together. So that end knot isn't alone, it's held in place by the other knots around it. So you technically don't need glue, but I have an anxiety disorder, so I have to. And then I flip it over, and you can see a little bit better from the front side. Some more little straight ends, just like to clean it up. I cut those little straight ends and glued some other straight ends down so it looks like nice and clean. And then you take the second daisy that you make and you put them side by side and measure around your shoulder, around your back, towards the front, like for your strap measurement. Then cut it. You don't need to like double the length or anything. Just measure for your strap and cut it. And then take one end of that measurement and line it up with the part where the two daisies meet. You can see right here. And you're going to attach these two faces together to make it a bag. So you want to take cord pieces from both sides and double half hitch knot them onto this like piece that you measured to be your strap. So you're going to take one piece of cord from one daisy, double half hitch knot it, then take a piece of cord from the other daisy, double half hitch knot it, and I have this little like D-ring, which you don't technically need because you can clip it onto like a gap between the knots anyway, but just to make it like look more professional, I wanted to add this D-ring. It's just like a regular D-ring. You can search D-ring on Amazon, Walmart, or go to a local craft store, or find it on a spare bag. It's just like a basic hardware. And I lined up the flat part of the D-ring with the lead string. That's the measurement of like the strap. And I double half hitch knotted the first two strands onto the D-ring also. So, and I also made sure it was facing like out. So that way when I turn it back inside out, turn the bag back inside out, the D-ring will be on the outside, if that makes sense. So that's also why when you're double half hitch knotting right now the two pieces together, you want to do it with the inside out, the insides facing out. You can do it the other way. If you're doing it the other way, it'll be okay. But if you do it with the insides facing out, then when you cut all these straight ends and glue them down and then turn the bag back outside in, it looks a lot cleaner because you won't see any of those ends and any of the glue. But it's okay if you do. You don't need to do that. So anyway, you double half hitch knot around the daisies, attaching those two together inside out, and you only go halfway. And then cut all those ends and glue them down. You obviously want to go halfway because you want the top to be open so that it's a bag, and add like a fastener. You don't have to add a fastener. You can also use the straight ends as like ties, but I'm gonna add a fastener, but that's in a second. So you wanna cut all the straight ends coming off of the bottom and glue it down. And you can start to see it looking like a bag. And so this is the fastener that I'm using. I found this to make a dog collar a long time ago for my puppy, but I never used it. So I was like, this is a perfect opportunity to use it. It's just like a tiny little claspy thing. But you can use any clasp that you like and just attach it. Like the top part of the bag that's open, find that string that's in the halfway point and attach it onto there. Like you can see here, a lot better than what I'm saying. I'll get better at describing things as I practice, I think. Hopefully. But yeah, so I attach it there, and then I'm gonna cut the end of that cord and glue it down, and cut the rest of the ends of cord from that face of the bag and glue them down. Do the same thing on the other side so that the whole fastener is attached, like one half on one side of the bag and one half on the other side of the bag. After you finish gluing down those ends, you're gonna turn it back inside out if you had it inside out to begin with, so that the right side is facing out. And it's a bit tight, so it does take some finessing, but it is possible. So just be patient and like really one at a time, get each petal out there. And so you can see it does take some finessing like I am doing here, but it is possible. And once it's outside in, you can see all the ends are, all the like gluey ends are on the inside. So it looks a lot nicer, and now it's starting to look like a real finished bag. So then the last step is to finish the strap. I made it a spiral pattern, and you can do it one color or multiple colors. I did it multiple colors to show you the option, but if you just want to do it one color, then you just cut one really long piece of cord to start off. But to do it multicolor, you just cut a few pieces of cord that are like, I don't know, 24 inches-ish. And you are going to knot them directly onto that strap string in a spiral pattern, which is like a square knot, the first half of a square knot repeated. So you take that left piece of cord, fold it over, take the right, fold it behind and through that loop, and then you do that on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. You don't like switch it. And again, I do have this also as a slower short, and that is way easier to understand than whatever I'm describing right now. And so if you want to check that out, I'll put that in the description. And so I just did a few spirals of one color, and when I get to close to the end of that piece of cord, I did a different color, and when I get close to that end of cord, I did a different color. And I did this for prettiness because different colors I think is pretty, but also because it's easier to knot faster with a shorter piece of cord than like a really long piece of cord. So if you're using like a really long piece of cord and you're finding it tedious to like have the patience to keep track of that end so that it doesn't like get tangled, then working with a shorter one is easier, and then you can just add on a different color when you get to the end of it, like I am doing here. And then when you're at the end of the strap, the last step is just to attach the clasp. If you don't have a clasp and you don't have a D-ring, you can technically like skip that step of adding the D-ring, and when you get to the end of the strap here, you just find like a gap in the knots that's where the D-ring would be, where you started the bottom of the bag, where you started connecting the bottom of the bag. You find a gap in the knots there, feed the end of this strap through, and then just knot it like in a regular knot to attach it to the other side of the bag. And you don't really need it. You just won't be able to like adjust it or anything, but I mean, you technically can't adjust it anyway. So yeah, that would be fine if you don't want to like support Amazon or whatever and get clasps like I did. Sorry. Or you just don't have one. You can do that. You just feed the ends through the other side of the bag, and then it's connected. But here I added a clasp for prettiness, and because I had them already. And you just make a gathering knot you feed the ends of the cord through the bottom of that clasp and then make a gathering knot to attach it, like I am doing here. And if you are having trouble seeing what a gathering knot is because I'm moving too fast here, I also have that as a slower short in the description. And so, yeah, the very, very last step, just cut the ends of cord that are left off and glue them down, and you're done. And this part is like so satisfying. I love the finishing touches part because it's when you can finally see it coming together, and it's like after all those hours of work, you're like, oh, it's finally almost done. Here it is, it's done. And it's so cute. Wait, I have it next to me too, let me show you. Oh, it's so cute. And I can fit all my necessities, but it's not too big. And that's why I wanted it just kind of like a little cross bag. And it's so cute. Okay, anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more and comment below any like issues you're having if you run into any problems, and also show me any pictures of if you make this, because I so want to see you guys make it. Follow me also on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. I have, I think, my Linktree in the description. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for watching.